Good evening and welcome to the July 7, 2025 regular meeting of the Mayor and Council. First item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to ask our Assistant City Manager, Tom Lonergan-Seeger, to lead us in the pledge. If everyone can please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tom. Next item on our agenda is reflection, and I would like to express our care and concern and condolences for everybody affected by the devastating floods down in Texas, and call for a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. Next, we have approval of minutes tonight. There is one set of minutes for the council to approve. That's from the regular session on June 16th. What is the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the minutes of the regular session held on June 16th, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Carries 5-0. Next is our consent agenda. What is the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Mayor, move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Carries 5-0. Next, we have presentations, and I would like to invite Maura Dinwiddie and Jasmine Echeona, both from Parks and Rec, to join me at the podium for our Proclamation of Parks and Recreation Month.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maura Dinwiddie. I'm the Division Chief for Sports and Youth Services with the Parks and Recreation Department. This month marks 40 years that the National Recreation and Park Association has celebrated Parks and Recreation Month. This is an annual celebration that recognizes the vital role Parks and Rec programs play in building strong communities. This year's theme is Build Together, Play Together, and in celebration, Gaithersburg presents exciting activities this month, including our Park Passport Challenge, Sports Fest at Boar Park this Saturday, July 12th. It's free, 8 a.m. Summer camps, a family PJ party at the Casey Community Center, children's concerts in Old Town, and many more special events.
All right, and I will read the proclamation of the Mayor and City Council of Gaithersburg. Whereas parks and recreation programs are essential components of vibrant, healthy communities across the country, including the city of Gaithersburg. And whereas parks and recreation professionals provide services every day, enriching the lives of residents and enhancing the quality of life in our city, making Gaithersburg a great place to live, work, and play. And whereas parks and recreation programs foster a strong sense of community by offering inclusive and welcoming programs, along with safe and accessible spaces where individuals can connect, engage, and thrive. And whereas Parks and Recreation Services contribute to public health by supporting active lifestyles, enhancing mental and emotional well-being, and creating opportunities for all ages and abilities. Now, therefore, I, Judd Ashman, by the power vested in me as Mayor of Gaithersburg, do hereby proclaim July 2025 as Parks and Recreation Month in the city of Gaithersburg, and encourage our residents to explore all that the city's parks and recreation programs have to offer. Proclaimed this 7th day of July 2025, signed by me. And let's give Jasmine a big round of applause.
Hello. My name is Jasmine Ashiona. I'm a team leader for youth services and have been working part-time with the city for 5 years now. But my time with the city definitely did not start there. I am what many would consider a city kid. Born and raised in Gaithersburg, I did all sorts of city programming. I was in rec classes like swimming, where for some reason I never got past the guppies stage, and I'm still not bitter. Don't worry. Throughout school, I played for city sports, discovering my love for soccer, and participated in after-school programs. Shout out to Terrific Tuesdays at Brown Station and the GYC. And I was even a camper at Rainbow just down the street for many, many summers. Parks and Rec programming was everything to me growing up. While it meant I was a pretty busy kid, I was so happy. The sports, activities, and camps are some of the fondest memories I have, and I give all the credit to the amazing coaches, staff, and counselors that I had throughout my time. The impact they made on me is the reason I decided to join the team once I got older. It was these counselors who didn't care that they looked silly in front of everyone to get the shy camper to participate that became the model for me now. I am truly grateful for the chance to give back to my community in the way they supported me. And from the city kid within me, thank you to those who show up every day, patient and kind, with the goal of just making a kid or a person smile. So happy National Parks and Rec Month. Woo.
No. Jasmine.
Yeah, Jasmine
me.
She's getting
I don't
this.
wanna be in the
Yeah, you're in the middle.
Goodness.
Yeah, you're receiving. Thank you.
That was
Thank you.
beautiful, by the
Thank
way.
you.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is public comments, and this is a time the mayor and council like to hear from anybody in the public who'd like to speak on anything that we're not having a public hearing about. We do have a public hearing immediately after related to the CarMax property on Shady Grove Road. So if you want to speak about that, just hold off. But if you want to speak on anything else, this is the time. Just feel free to come up to the podium, state your name and address or neighborhood. Feel free to speak for up to 3 minutes, and if you have more than 3 minutes worth of material, you can use your 3 minutes and send us the rest in writing. We'll consider it just the same. Is there anybody in the room who'd like to speak tonight under public comments? Okay, not seeing anybody in the room. Let me check on Teams. It has been Zoom. This is our first foray into Teams. If anybody on Teams would like to speak, use the raise hand function, and I will call on you. Okay, I am not seeing any hands go up on Teams. So we will continue this experiment and see how Teams works out for us when someone does want to testify. Okay. So for now then, I'm going to invite the Planning Commission to join us up here, and we're going to go into our joint public hearing and invite Emily and Laura from our planning department to come lead us in this discussion.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council and Commissioners. This is a joint public hearing on zoning map amendment application Z101202025. Notice of this public hearing was published in the June 19th and 26th, 2025 editions of the Washington Post. The property was posted with a sign, notifications were mailed, and notice was given on the city's website. There are currently 23 exhibits in the record. Any dispute of an exhibit must be presented prior to the closing of the record. The applicant has submitted this application on behalf of CarMax Auto Superstores, Inc., proposing to rezone two parcels at 16383 and 16411 Shady Grove Road from MXD, Mixed-Use Development, to C2, General Commercial. This application is reflective of the amended annexation agreement approved on May 20th, 2025. Just to quickly orient you to the site, it is highlighted here in yellow, located off Shady Grove Road, south of its intersection with Oakmont Avenue, and north of the intersection of North Frederick Avenue and Shady Grove Road. Before I introduce the applicant, I'd like to just note what is required for zoning map amendments. This application is for a standard method zoning map amendment. The requirements are outlined in City Code Section 24-12.3 and does not include any type of site development plan. Unlike the city's CD and MXD zones, the C2 zone does not require any type of schematic development plan or sketch plan as part of the rezoning. There are specific findings that must be met in order to approve C2 zoning indicated in Section 4-204 of the Maryland Land Use Article, but this application is strictly a rezoning, and if approved, any future redevelopment of the site would have to go through the site plan approval process with Planning Commission. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to the applicant, Aaron Gerard.
and welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Erin Gerard with the law firm of Trilling Brewer. For the record, with me tonight is Bradley Escobar of CarMax. We can answer any questions that may come up.
Welcome.
So on behalf of our CarMax Auto Superstores, we're here tonight to discuss our request to rezone the 13.34 acres of land located at 16383 and 16411 Shady Grove Road from the MXD to the C2 zone. The honors were just done of orienting you to the project, the property, but as shown on the aerial, Shady Grove Road is immediately to the north. It's worth noting that the surface parking area that you see at 16383 Shady Grove Road has been before all of you as a temporary use permit to allow for temporary storage of vehicles. That was renewed last September and is covered in the annexation agreement that was recently executed with the city. So the property, this dates back to 2012, when we annexed the property into the city of Gaithersburg. As you can see on this image, the property is entirely surrounded by Montgomery County. And at the time that it was annexed, in effect was the 2006 Shady Grove sector plan that basically envisioned the redevelopment of the entire area, including the transfer station that's immediately to the south of the property. As I'm sure you're aware, some of that redevelopment has happened closer to the metro, whereas other things have not gone according to plan, literally. The Gaithersburg 2009 plan largely echoed the recommendations of the 2006 Shady Grove sector plan, and in keeping with the future vision of a redevelopment as mixed use, recommended the property for MXD. So when it was annexed in 2012, it was immediately put into the MXD zone, envisioning this larger redevelopment. However, at the time that it was annexed, the county, as you know, gets a say in what the future zoning is going to be. They have some certain authority, and the county required a covenant to be placed on the property that prohibits residential use for so long as the transfer station remains in operation. And as I'm sure you're also aware, the MXD zone largely wants to be residential with, complementary commercial recreational uses, but its primary purpose, is to have a mix of uses that includes residential. So what really brought us here tonight is the zoning ordinance that was adopted last summer, which actually took automobile sales establishments out as a permitted use in the MXD zone. So when we noticed that, we were like, oh boy, this is a problem, because as a non-conforming use, if there was a fire or anything like that, if anything caused the property to cease operation for longer than 90 days, they would lose the right to operate. And that's not really a tenable situation for CarMax. So that's what brought us here tonight, just to kind of hit some of the high points. So when we were looking at what to do with the situation, we looked at a potential rezoning. And as I'm sure you are all aware, there's certain findings that must be made, including that there has been a substantial change in the circumstances surrounding the property. I'll go into those in a little bit more detail in a moment, but certainly we think that has happened. As noted on the slide, surrounding area is not redeveloped as was expected in 2012, and it retains a primary commercial and industrial character. In fact, it's kind of been reinforced with some of the developments that have happened. In 2021, the county also updated its Shady Grove sector plan and took out the idea that the transfer station would be redeveloping anytime soon, and instead doubled down that it will in fact stay. And we know that they not only plan to stay, but they're looking into expansion. So because of that, the use restriction will continue to prevent residential development on the property. When we were looking at the rezoning possibility, we approached staff and worked closely with them to come up with an amendment to the annexation agreement. I know copy is in your packet, but the high points of it are really that there was an acknowledgement of the changed circumstances that would support a rezoning to C2 zone. It was very important to CarMax that they kind of just want to keep existing as they are. So they didn't want to have to come through and re-entitle the property. They don't have any immediate plans to change anything. So we wanted to be able to validate the schematic development plan and site plan under the C2 zone without having to do anything further, keep the existing improvements as they are. And then as part of that, the temporary use permit to extend that, as you know, we've been before you twice, we didn't want to have to keep coming back every year. So we built in that would be extended through September 4th, 2030, which gives them a fair amount of time to figure out what they want to do long-term with that lot. So as I mentioned, just making sure I'm hitting all the points here. So as I mentioned, the sketch plan was approved back in April 2nd, 2013. This allowed for 12,904 square feet of automobile sales establishment, and then also envision in the blue area on the screen, a 225,000 office commercial restaurant building. That again was aimed at the intended MXD zone, which wanted mixed use on the property. This is a schematic development plan that was approved on the same day. It essentially looks the same. Then in February 19, 2024, the city approved the site plan for the property, which really established the existing car dealership, which was built immediately thereafter. As I noted at the time, this was kind of considered somewhat of a stopgap, a good use of the property until such time as the area redeveloped. And as we now know, that is not going to happen as it was envisioned back when it was annexed. So as I noted, one of the requirements for rezoning is finding an unforeseen change in the surrounding neighborhood has occurred. Since the time of the CarMax development and the annexation, there's a parking lot, which you can see on your screen, that's immediately to the west of the property that was developed. It's just surface parking, has been used like that for a number of years. Up to the northeast, right at 16700 Krabs Branch Way, Montgomery County put in its Division of Fleet Management Services, which is much more of a commercial and industrial looking building than was originally envisioned for the area. And then at 16902 Krabs Branch Way, the Maryland Transportation Authority constructed a facility. Immediately across the street from that is the Grove Shopping Center, which, as you are familiar with, is a commercial strip shopping center with acres of parking. Immediately to the east of the property remains the post office. And then, as noted, just to the south is the transfer station and the Wamana rail tracks. So taking into consideration all these things and in discussions with staff, we feel that the C2 general commercial zone is a much more appropriate zone, not just for the existing CarMax use, but reflects what has actually been developed in the area. As I noted, the 2021 Shady Grove sector plan reaffirmed the existence of the transfer station. This is the exact quote. The sector plan confirms the importance of the processing facility and transfer station at this location since the facility utilizes the existing rail tracks. The relocation of this facility to another part of the county is not anticipated in the long term. This sector plan also reaffirmed the industrial and institutional land uses in the area and the attendant zoning. So finally, Section 4.24-204, the Maryland Land Use Article, requires that specific findings be made by the city in order to support the rezoning. Because there's no revisions to the site that are proposed, there's no population change, the effect on public facilities will remain the exact same as it is today, no changes to transportation patterns, and it's compatible with the existing and proposed development in the area for the reasons that I just stated. It's also worth noting that the article requires that the city consider the recommendation of the Planning Commission and relationship to the city's plan when considering the application. Per the city code, the Planning Commission may find that, quote, events have occurred to render the current applicable master plan recommendation no longer relevant. As I noted, the city's 2009 plan relied heavily on the recommendations of the county's 2006 plan, which has since been updated to confirm the commercial and industrial nature of the area. So the most recent amendment of the county plan should really be seen as controlling over the 2009 plan. It's also worth noting that the recent amendment to the annexation agreement really recognizes the more current city thinking on the county or on the property, which kind of paved the way for or recognized that a rezoning would be appropriate. So with that, we request your favorable action on a rezoning of the property for the MXD to the C2 zone, and we're available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Aaron. I'll remind everybody this is a public hearing, so let's do maybe a quick round of questions if we have any, and then we'll go to the public. Does anybody have any questions? Not seeing any. Okay, well then we're going to go right to the public. Same rules as the public comments apply. We ask that you state your name and address or neighborhood if you prefer. Keep your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Do we have anybody in the room who wants to testify? Actually, I think I only see staff in the room. So let's go over to Teams. Do we have anybody on Teams who would like to testify? Just use the raise hand function and I'll call on you. Not seeing any hands go up on Teams either.
You
Okay,
could go out on the sidewalk if you want. And see.
fair point. Okay, well then with that, I guess we shall go to recommendations and the planning commission.
Did staff have anything more, or are we ready for the motion? Okay, thank you. Staff recommends that the planning commission hold their record open until 5 p.m. on Monday, July 28th, 2025, with anticipated recommendation on Wednesday, August 6th, 2025. Is there a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, and that passes unanimously. Thanks very much. Mr. Mayor?
All right, our recommendation is that mayor and council hold our record open until 5 p.m. on Friday, August 15th, with anticipated policy discussion and final action on Monday, September 15th. What is the pleasure of the council?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, that carries unanimously. And anybody watching, either presently or in the future, the record is open until August 15th. We'd like to hear from you. And thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, planning commissioners. It was short and sweet tonight. Okay. We're going to go to from the mayor and city council. We're going to start with council member Lisa Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Wishing that everyone had a fun and healthy and happy Independence Day. It was chock full of fireworks for many of us. Summerfest, as always, was an incredible event. Many attended. Traffic wasn't horrible. It was just bad, not horrible. It was, but it was worth it because the event was incredible. The following weekend, many of us went to the Kentlands Parade, and then right after that to Washington Woods Parade, and then following that to the city of Rockville invited mayor and council to their fireworks event at the Mattie JT Stepanek Park, which was another great 4th of July event. So it was many fireworks and lots of entertainment. All the bands were great. So I hope everyone had as much of a great Independence Day as I and many of us did. And that is it from me.
Thank you, Lisa. We'll go to Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I echo Councilmember Henderson's thoughts. Hope everybody had a wonderful 4th of July weekend. I didn't get to as many parades. We had family at the house this weekend, so we were able to entertain them and enjoy, but we did enjoy Summerfest, and it was a great time, and it was one of the more comfortable July 4ths that we've had in quite some time. So we're making up for that today, for sure. Also had the opportunity to attend a number of events. It's been a few weeks since we've been here together. The mayor and I attended the ribbon cutting at the Doubletree Hotel here in Gaithersburg. They reopened their outdoor pool after many years, so it was very tempting to jump in. It was a warm day that day as well. Also had the opportunity to attend the Public Safety Awards that were put on by the Gaithersburg Germantown Chamber of Commerce, and we always say after these events that we need to tell those stories more often. We were proud to have 2 of our officers recognized for their work in cracking a burglary spree and actually doing such a good job in connecting the dots that they were able to get a RICO indictment, and that's not easy to do. So well done there. And then we also attended a council of the communities, and it was well attended. We had some good discussion, and it was always good to be able to get to the different sections of the city. And finally, MML, great time in Ocean City. I was able to complete the courses that I needed to be able to get my certificate from the University of Maryland and the MML for, okay, make sure I get it right, excellence in local governance. So
The Academy.
for the Academy, yes, thank you. So they give those out every 2 years, so it'll be not this September, but next September that I'll be able to get that. And then finally, I want to invite everybody to join me and my family, because we've been going regularly to evenings in Old Town at the City Hall Pavilion. Different genre of music every week. It's a lot of fun. Saints Row's there with beer. There's often a food truck. It's a great time to be out in the city, and hope to see you there. That's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Oh, and I have the mayor and city council are seeking members to serve on a number of city boards, commissions, and committees. Joining is a way to get involved and help your community. The following have vacancies. The Animal Control Board has one vacancy for a veterinary representative. The Board of Supervisors of Elections, an opening for one full and one alternate. The Commission on Landlord-Tenant Affairs, one alternate landlord and one alternate public at large. The Community Advisory Committee, 2 members. Cultural Arts Advisory Committee, 2 members. Educational Enrichment Committee, 5 members. The Environmental Affairs Committee, 4 members. The Ethics Commission, 1 full member and 1 alternate. The Gaithersburg Parks, Arts, and Recreation Corporation, or GPark, 7 members. The Multicultural Affairs Committee, 8 members. The Old Town Advisory Committee, 7 members. The Personnel Review Board, 1 member. The Police Advisory Committee, 5 members. And the Senior Advisory Committee, 6 members. So as you can tell, there are a lot of opportunities to get involved. If you're interested in serving on any of these committees, please send a letter of interest and your resume to cityhall@gaithersburgmd.gov. And for more information and official announcements, please visit the city's website at www.gaithersburgmd.gov or contact the city manager's office at 301-258-6310. And now I'm done. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well done. We're going to go to Jamil.
Yes to all that. That was excellent.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to Neil.
Also attended Summerfest and want to congratulate the city staff. All of whom did a wonderful job and had a great event. It only rained for 5 minutes, which was good. Better than we sometimes get. And just
Yeah.
fun time was had by all. Why are you passing this to me? It's got your name on it, Rob. Also want to congratulate the 3 members of the city who ran one of the sessions at MML, our mayor, Judd Ashman, my colleague Jamil Hernandez, and city manager Tanisha Briley, who ran what I have to honestly say was the best session I've ever seen at MML on how to integrate new members onto the council and retain your culture and sanity along the way. I added the last part, but I think it was real. Anyway, in addition, I'd like to express my condolences to Terry Anderson, the general manager at the Kentlands Homeowners Association, on the sudden passing of her husband. Very unexpected and tragic. So our heartfelt condolences go out to Terry and her family. That's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Neil. We'll go to Rob.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I've just got something to read, apparently. 2025 election information. Gaithersburg residents will cast their ballots for mayor and 2 council members on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. Candidate packets are available and may be picked up at City Hall by appointment only or requested electronically by contacting City Clerk Leah Jones at cityelections@gaithersburgmd.gov. The candidate filing deadline is Thursday, August 21st, 2025 at 5 p.m. The last mandatory candidate training session will be held virtually on Tuesday, August 5th. Candidates must attend 1 session and registration is required. To register, contact the city clerk at 240-805-1084. For complete election information, please visit www.gaithersburgmd.gov/elections.
Thank you, Rob, for that very heartfelt reading.
That's a forward slash, by the way.
/ okay. I want to add my kudos to staff on a wonderful Summerfest event. It was really, really great. And I want to give add my kudos to the Gaithersburg Germantown Chamber for the Public Safety Awards, City of Rockville for their nice July 4th event. Congratulate staff for putting on Council in the Communities again, very well. And a couple notes on Maryland Municipal League. I was elected to serve on the board of directors, an at-large seat for the second year. I'll be serving there, and I was appointed to co-chair the legislative committee this year. So this is going to be a busy year at MML.
It's a big deal too, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations.
Thank you. So, upcoming sessions. We will have a work session next week. We hope you join us Monday, July 14th. And we will receive presentations on the Crown Farm Park final design and a presentation from the Arts and Humanities Council of Montgomery County on their cultural plan. And the next regular session of the Mayor and Council will be held on Monday, July 21st. And as always, you can participate in person here, or you can participate on Teams. And next, we need to do a motion to conduct a closed executive session, and I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Jamil Hernandez.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the mayor and city council of the city of Gaithersburg conduct a closed executive session on Thursday, July 10th, 2025, pursuant to the general provisions article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, Section 3-305B7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, and 305B8 to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. The topic to be discussed is the agreement between, the agreement between the city and the Montgomery County regarding the county transportation development tax.
I think it's remarkable how you did that you committed that all to memory like that.
Amazing.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, thank you very much. We will, so
Mr.
on.
Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
That's okay. Because I am an employee of Montgomery County, I'm recusing myself from the topic and abstaining from this vote.
Okay, so that we will have, the vote carries 4-0-1 with one abstention, Councilmember Henderson, and we will be having that executive session on July 10th. So next we have from the city manager and Tanisha.
Thank you, Your Honor. Nothing to report this evening.
Okay, well then we're going to go to Tom Lonergan Seeger, Economic Development Update.
Just one item tonight, Your Honor.
You don't have to call me that.
Because she did it. I did it. Montgomery College is currently accepting applications for its Technology Metro Area Pathways, or TechMap, grant program, a free accelerator program for cyber, data, IT, and cloud professionals who wish to level up their careers with exam prep and industry certifications. Funded by the U.S. Department of Labor, limited seats are available for the fall 2025 boot camps. Participants choose between 3 certifications bearing pathways: data analysis, CompTIA Data Plus, cybersecurity, CompTIA Security Plus, and cloud technologies, AWS Solutions Architect Associate. You can go to the Montgomery County College website for more information.
Okay, thank you very much, Tom. Next, we're moving into ordinances, resolutions, and regulations. Laura Mayfood, we have you up next.
Go. Good evening. This is introduction for an ordinance to abandon, release, and vacate approximately 37,430 square feet of O'Neill Drive and Nancy Place right-of-way in accordance with Chapter 19, Article 3 of the City Code. The proposed abandonment area is marked with red hatching here on your screen, It includes portions of O'Neill Drive that were never constructed, as well as a small section of Nancy Place. This abandonment application is related to the Casey Rosedale zoning map amendment application, which is application Z10030-2025. And that application proposes to realign O'Neill Drive and Nancy Place to facilitate the phased redevelopment of the Rosedale apartments. Since this request is directly related to the Casey Rosedale zoning map amendment application, the public hearing for this will be scheduled concurrently with the public hearing for that zoning map amendment at a future date. Our code just requires a slightly different process for abandonment applications, so that's why we had to introduce it first in order to get the public hearings to line up. And that is all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Jim.
Thank you, Mayor. And I think you just answered it, Laura. I just want to make sure that we're clear that the addition of the new right-of-way will be a part of the other process, whereas this is strictly just for the abandonment.
Correct. Yes.
Thank you. I'm just trying to read my notes. I think that's the only question I had. Thank you.
Lisa?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Laura, would you define the term abandonment in this use, please?
So the city is giving up their rights to the right-of-way, essentially. So it will no longer be under the purview of the city.
Okay.
So that we're releasing the rights to that right-of-way
I got it.
property.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if we don't have any further questions, would someone like to move to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Carries 5-0. Thank you very much. And next, we're going into, and Laura, you're still with us, policy discussion. Lake Forest, or Gateway Lake Forest.
Yes, so this is policy discussion on zoning map amendment application Z 9928-2024, requesting to rezone 481 North Frederick Avenue, 101 Lake Forest Boulevard, and 702 Russell Avenue to CD and establish a new schematic development plan. This is the first CD zone rezoning under our new zoning ordinance. So previously, these were handled as two separate applications, but now they are handled concurrently and processed as one application. These are the three subject properties. They are outlined in red here on your screen. They're located at the corner of Lake Forest Boulevard and North Frederick Avenue, and they're currently developed with 3 office buildings. The application proposes to rezone the site from C2, general commercial, to CD, corridor development, which is in compliance with recommendations in the 2009 city's master plan. And this shows the proposed SDP. The SDP proposes replacing 2 of the existing office buildings with a new 8-story multifamily rental building with ground floor commercial uses. The commercial use is located here at the corner of Lake Forest Boulevard and a new commercial service road. And the new commercial service road wraps around the new building, connecting Lake Forest Boulevard back to North Frederick Avenue. And then the existing office building right here, 702 Russell, will remain with some minor edge improvements. These are some of the renderings from the conceptual architecture. This is the primary residential lobby entrance on 355. This is the commercial entrance at the corner of Lake Forest Boulevard and the new commercial service road, and it's located next to the existing office building that's remaining. And then the other 2 facades are along the new commercial service road. The joint public hearing for this application was held on April 21st, 2025. The Mayor and City Council's record closed at 5 p.m. on June 13th, 2025, with 70 exhibits in the record. Since the public hearing and prior to the council's record closing, we received 3 additional public comments expressing some concerns with traffic from the project. During the joint public hearing, some questions and concerns were brought up, and the applicant responded to these. Their response letter was included in your packet. It was Exhibit 58. And 3 of the main topics that were brought up include pedestrian connectivity to Lake Forest Mall, the proposed unit mix, and the location of the retail use. In response to the connectivity to Lake Forest Mall, the applicant provided a new graphic highlighting the new sidewalks for the project, including the proposed 10-foot shared use path along Lake Forest Boulevard. and they compared it to the existing condition, noting that it will be activated with landscaping and the new commercial service, or new commercial location right here, and also it'd be improvement upon what is out there currently. During the public hearing, a few council members expressed concern with the lack of three-bedroom units proposed, and the public testimony we heard during the hearing also noted the lack of three bedrooms. The applicant stated in their response that they intentionally use a denser unit mix at SDP to determine transportation adequacy and to avoid future amendments. So this would just be an ultimate maximum number of units. The final mix will be determined at final site plan, and the applicant reiterated that they intend to include three-bedroom units in the final unit mix, and they will perform a market study to determine an appropriate number. But staff has included a proposed condition addressing the inclusion of three-bedroom units at final site plan. And then regarding the retail location, the applicant stated how the topography of the site, how it slopes down from 355, pushes the commercial service and loading areas to this side of the building. The applicant states that they plan to install wayfinding signage to direct tenants to the commercial space, and also noted that this retail use will be in close proximity to the new transit center on Russell Avenue and along the main pedestrian connection to 355. And I know some questions have come up recently about the approved traffic impact study, and staff wanted to provide some more clarity on that. So I'll just finish up my last couple slides, and then I will turn it over to Doug Smith with Public Works to give some more context about that. So as I mentioned in the beginning, this is our first CD zone rezoning under the new code, so I just wanted to show the code requirements. There are two sets of findings, one for the rezoning and one for the SDP, but it's all under one application and one motion. In order to approve the application, the City Council must approve both the rezoning and the SDP. They cannot approve one without the other. The Planning Commission recommended approval of application Z9928-2024 with three proposed conditions during their June 4th meeting. And staff recommends that the Mayor and City Council grant approval of this application with the three conditions as presented in the staff analysis. A draft ordinance granting the zoning map amendment application has been included and is ready for final action, should the council so choose. But now, first, I will turn it over to Doug Smith to discuss the traffic study.
The Gateway Lake Forest Traffic Impact Study, or TIS, was approved by city staff, having met all of the city's TIS regulations. These regulations state that the scope of a TIS is to be based on the number of new trips generated. For Gateway Lake Forest, the number of new trips required the scope to include one signalized intersection in each direction out from the site. Therefore, this site was not required to analyze the intersection of Maryland Route 355 at Maryland Route 124. We believe the development will have no significant negative impact on the intersection of 355 at 124. Currently, the TIS shows that site trips from the Gateway Lake Forest development will account for 2% of the total projected volumes at the intersection of 355 at 124. These site trips represent an 8% share of all pending development traffic. However, it is worth noting that these projections of site trips are considered to be a very high estimate because the applicant chose a more conservative approach, which did not take credit for any of the reductions that the city's regulations allow, such as for multimodal trips, mixed-use sites, pass-by retail trips, or most significantly, the vested trips that would be eliminated by replacing the existing offices. Therefore, the TIS shows greater traffic impacts than we would realistically expect. If the applicant had taken credit for reasonable reductions, then the development would actually result in a net reduction of AM ingress and PM egress volumes to the site, which could have a positive impact at the 355-124 intersection. SHA, the Maryland State Highway Administration, is currently proceeding with design for their Maryland Route 124 PSAP, Pedestrian Safety Action Plan, project. This project will result in minor capacity reductions along the MD 124 corridor, including at the 355 intersection, in order to improve pedestrian safety. SHA is not currently seeking capacity improvement projects from surrounding new developments. When the city required the Lake Forest Mall redevelopment to add capacity at the intersection of 355 and 124, SHA declined any such improvements. However, city staff have suggested alternate improvements, which I will discuss in a moment. SHA conducted a traffic study to analyze their Route 124 PSAP project. After reviewing the study, the city found that SHA had used existing 2023 traffic counts and had not included any new development trips as part of their analysis, which we believe significantly understates the impacts of SHA's capacity reductions. Therefore, city staff sent SHA the development trip volumes used in various local TISs, including Gateway Lake Forest, requesting that they update their PSAT project analysis. We also performed our own quick analysis reflecting all development volumes. From our analysis, we determined recommendations for minor capacity improvements, which we believe would significantly reduce congestion at a modest cost and impact. We sent these recommendations to SHA on June 13th, along with the request for their updated analysis. To date, SHA has yet to provide a response to the city. As part of the city's analysis of SHA's project, we also did a before and after comparison of Gateway Lake Forest trip volumes and found that even this very high estimate of Gateway Lake Forest trips had no significant impact on delays in the AM and PM peaks. This is likely because of what we call critical movements, which are the heaviest movements that conflict with each other and dictate the delays at a traffic signal. At the 355 at 124 intersection, the Gateway Lake Forest project is generally contributing more to the non-critical movements, which means smaller impacts. However, in order to address any remaining operational concerns, the city will be requiring the Gateway Lake Forest developer to prepare and submit for staff approval a TIS update for the final site plan, which will include the intersection of 355 at 124. We will also look at the site's updated trip generation based on their final unit count and more realistic trip generation that considers vested trips. In the final analysis, we do not anticipate that this site will have a net negative traffic impact of any significance.
That's all we have for you. Staff is available, and the applicant's team is also here this evening to answer any questions.
Laura and Doug, thank you very much. Okay, so this is policy discussion. Who would like to go first? Jim McNulty, go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. They all look at me knowingly. Thank you so much for the presentation. And Doug, I want to thank you specifically for the work that you and Brian have done in digging in on the traffic questions. It came up during the public hearing, would this be the straw that broke the camel's back over at 124 and 355? And through your analysis, it seems that it's not, but that the back was already broken beforehand. And I'm still trying to get from SHA to understand why they declined to have Lake Forest make updates there. I mean, knowing that there was a pedestrian project, but not a traffic improvement project there, it boggles the mind that we missed an opportunity to have the developer of Lake Forest contribute to the solution there. That's no fault of the city. That's no fault of the applicant here or the applicant there. During MML, I was able to have a conversation with the SHA administrator, William Pines. They had a roundtable with a number of the secretaries and administrators and brought this to their attention directly and mentioned that staff had provided information and not gotten an answer yet. So we know that it is on their radar. My concern, and again, it's not this applicant's fault, is continuing to approve projects here when we know that there's an existing issue with the infrastructure is problematic and it's concerning. But it's the combined pressure of all these projects now that is going to have to force the issue with the state. So, whether the solution is the minor ones that you have suggested to SHA, or it is, the more robust solution that you did a test fit for. And again, thank you for that work to show that an overpass would actually fit within the right of way. Like that's a huge win to be able to see that kind of a solution could fit there. So then it just becomes a function of getting the state on board with that. So to folks that are going to ask, why are we still making improvements here? I was offlining with Councilmember Harris, and he brought up the challenges that we've had with school capacity. And it's not until you approve the projects that you actually get a response from MCPS, for example, like, oh, we're going to need to meet this need. The good news is, because of your work, we now know, right? And we can begin asking now and hopefully get the infrastructure in place in time for these developments to come online. And that's a big win. So, and you know, had you not done that work, we might have gotten caught blindsided. So thank you for that. I did want to ask a question about, you mentioned there's going to be wayfinding signs. And I understand the challenge that the topography has in the positioning of the retail space. You mentioned the wayfinding signs. Does the applicant envision having, you know, actual like lighted signs on the building so that people on 355 know what's going to be there? I know in general, like a lot of times if you have, especially like if there's a Starbucks or, you know, a named brand that wants their sign on the building, is that something that's envisioned here?
So that is more of a final site plan detail, but I know in discussions with the applicant, we have talked to them about including signage on that 355 facade that would direct patrons back to where the commercial location is.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was my last question. So I may have more, but I think that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Jamil.
Just have a clarifying question. So there was testimony and record information about the 3-bedroom and the need or desire for it. And the applicant wrote, or I think the quote there was, you know, there should be an appropriate mix. Just maybe clarification is, can an appropriate mix ever be zero, or is the applicant committing to build some amount and the amount is to be determined?
It'll be determined at final site plan. The applicant has reiterated that they are committed to providing a certain number of 3-bedroom units. They just don't want to specify that number at this time, and they want more up-to-date information from the market study at the next stage.
Sure, and
At the
things have
final
to pencil out, but there's no scenario, or it's not likely that that number will be zero.
The applicant has indicated that they will include 3-bedroom
Okay.
units.
Thank you.
All right. Lisa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. I'm excited about this project, particularly with the 3 bedrooms coming on board. I'm assuming in the mix they will be there at some level. It also goes to, you know, what we're introducing on the east side of the city and the housing and the retail that will grow there. So I'm excited about this project.
And
Thank you.
I'll also just reiterate, we do have that proposed condition that requires 3-bedroom
Yeah.
units. So they
I
will
see
have
that.
to include some at
Yep,
final.
I see it. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Neil.
So first, regarding the unit mix, it's my understanding that the reason that that's not really included yet is because the number of units can't go up, but it can go down. So
Yes.
adding 3-bedroom units would, by necessity, reduce the total number of units.
Most likely, yes, the total will go down.
Right, so that's fine. Question probably for you, Doug. I know the county is planning to do a lot of work on 355, hopefully within our lifetimes as the BRT project comes to fruition. Are we discussing the traffic generation from the new Lake Forest project and this one as in conjunction with what State Highway is looking at? I would think that we'd want to look at both highways concurrently.
I am not sure where the county is in their process of studying any traffic impacts from the BRT or any other major projects. I've not seen recent traffic analysis for roadway projects on 355.
Well, I know they're planning to re-engineer the roadway, so hopefully we can put a bug in their ear. I guess the last information I saw through a third-party website was a 355 BRT in 2032 or something like that. So I know it's not happening soon, but maybe we can put in a word and make sure that they don't forget about us on that front.
Yeah, I know at some point they will have to do some kind of traffic analysis if they haven't already, and we would certainly like to review that.
All right, that's great. Thank you.
So did you want to say anything about this project or?
No, I think the project is great. I think it's, I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Rob?
Yeah, so I don't have any questions, and I appreciate the information that was gathered by both staff and the applicant on the various issues that were raised previously. You know, as I think I stated in the prior sessions on this, you know, I think that this location and what is being proposed here in conjunction with the Lake Forest District, not Lake Forest Mall anymore, it's our district, and we're going to see it through. It's exciting, but, you know, loud and clear on the capacity issues that are being addressed. And it's not just Lake Forest District, it's not just Gateway Lake Forest, but, you know, you look at the Montgomery Village sector plan and you see that they are realizing that in order to move in the direction of where the housing stock needs to be based on the demands of folks that want to live here, they've had to make changes too. And those changes include further densification. That includes densification that is going to be coming onto this road. And so, you know, I think it's unfortunate, but it's exactly right, is that the powers that be will ignore the problem unless we shine the light on the problem. And that's not a reason not to proceed with the project, but it's a reason for Gaithersburg, as we so effectively do, working with Montgomery Village partners, working with the county to get these improvements coming as these properties and this housing stock that it's sorely needed comes online. So I'm going to vote in favor of the project and pedal to the metal on making sure that infrastructure keeps up with the rising housing stock, particularly in this area where, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on. Not to mention, I've heard M83 raising its head, and that would just be interesting in this area. But yeah, no, it's a good project. It's in a good area, and we just need to work to make sure that this entire area comes forward and moves forward in a way that is how we want it to for our residents and the area.
All right. Okay, Jim?
Just the one thing I wanted to bring up, and I apologize for not saying it before, is I just want to kind of upvote the 3-bedroom necessity. I've been working with clients the past 4 weeks trying to find a 3-bedroom unit that would work for them. And I've reached out to several apartment complexes in the area, in one of which I talked to the crossings across the street, and they've got a wait list, several years long. So the need is definitely there, particularly in the affordable space. So I look forward to seeing what that lands at with the final site plan. Thank you.
All right. Well, before I call for the motion, I will note that if I had a vote on this, I would vote very happily in favor of this project. I'm excited about it, and hopefully we're going to get an affirmative from the council right now. So the motion that we need is a motion to approve the zoning map amendment and the SDP with the 3 conditions identified by staff and the planning commission, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm doing it correctly. Okay. Does someone want to say so moved?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, that carries 5-0.
Poor Leah, she has to keep that.
She's got to award the second to somebody. And the so moved. Okay. Let's see what we have next. So that is approved. Thank you all very much. And congratulations to our applicant. Next, we have from the city attorney. Do we have anything from you, Frank?
Well, I should given the hour, I should give a long speech and actually have one of my assistant city attorneys there to listen to me as well while I'm here. So just to see what we do on Monday nights, I will just report that I had brought up a couple of, might be a month ago now, that I had completed the training program for new municipal attorneys, and Councilmember Wu suggested looking into the copyright issue, and in the past when we looked into it, there were some limitations, and took a broader look on the second or third round and did find that the city, I may not because I was working for the city, but the city does have certain copyright authority and ability. It is somewhat dependent on the states because they can eliminate that, and the state of Maryland has not. So that may impact certain things like our own website. We do have certain rights of copyright for certain types of software as well. And in looking further, we also do have certain trademark rights, not at the federal level because local governments and state governments are exempted, but the state does provide some trademark protection, which we can use. And there's also common law protection, which is more limited and more for the immediate area. So we'll be looking into that as well. And we went from 79 trainings to 80 because now that we know this, we want to create the. We certainly want to lay that out and make sure that municipal attorneys coming in, including YM herself, will be aware of this right. So thank you.
All
That's
right,
all I
thank
have.
you. Anything from any other staff? Not seeing anything. Okay. Well, I will remind everyone that to join us for our work session on Monday, July 14th, to receive presentations on the Crown Farm Park final design and the Arts and Humanities Council of Montgomery County's cultural plan. Next regular meeting of the Mayor and Council will be on Monday, July 21st. This Saturday is Sports Fest over at Boer Park, so join us for that. And until next time, let's do great things, Gaithersburg. We are adjourned.